What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Unhinged Talk. As usual, I'm your host, Patrick Hensley, joined tonight by the man, Paris Giva Xenofontos. How we doing tonight, Para?
I'm amazing, man. How about you?
Listen, I can't complain, as usual. Today, I really do want to focus on Giancarlo Stanton, only because, bro, you can't get hotter than this dude right now. But before we do get into him, everyone be sure, like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications. We're going live before and after every single Yankees game this season, so stay tuned for that content. But today, like I said, focusing on Giancarlo Stanton, kind of just this ridiculous stretch that this dude's on right now. Listen, last time we saw Stanton on a stretch of this magnitude was last year in the playoffs. And obviously it wasn't the same sample size just because he didn't have the opportunity to do so. I would have loved to see Stanton last year if the Yankees could advance to the ALCS or the World Series, if he could continue that hot streak. But what we're seeing now from him is kind of the next best thing. And honestly, I would say it's the best streak we've seen from him in the regular season as a Yankee. Every time he makes contact with the ball, it's easily like 115 off the bat. He's just he's ripping line drives everywhere. If I were a middle infielder right now and Giancarlo Stanton was at bat, I'd probably take 10 steps back just because I'm terrified of that ball coming at me. And if you kind of look at his most recent stats, in his last 7 games, which is 31 at bats, he's 17 for his last 31, equating to a 548 batting average, 563 OP on base percentage, and an 839 slugging, Para. What we're seeing from Giancarlo Stanton right now is unreal, and you could honestly say that he's carrying the Yankees lineup.
Where are all the haters at? Because honestly, I don't see anybody hating on Giancarlo for being one of the Yankees' most efficient hitter right now.
No, yeah, and it's crazy because these past few seasons, like Stanton has been one of the most hated guys on the Yankees, and it seems like once these hot streaks do happen, all the Stanton haters go hide in the closet, and they kind of just wait for him to come back to the earth. It's kind of frustrating, right?
Yeah, honestly, I know he's the most highest paid player on the team, and you want to expect him every year out of this because of him. But honestly, let the guy be.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you kind of look at his season stats as a whole right now, which is 25 games, he's putting up very, very good numbers. Now, do we want to say MVP-like numbers? Because it's definitely possible. It's not Mike Trout level, but it is MVP potential. So in 25 games, he's batting 297 with a 343 on base, 545 slugging, which equates to an 887 OPS with 7 home runs and 18 RBIs. Obviously, it would be very, very difficult for Stan to win MVP as a full-time DH. But I think when I say MVP numbers, I just mean on the offensive side of things, because obviously I don't see him winning MVP because of the whole lack of defense thing. But still, I mean, these are excellent numbers from him.
To be honest with you, I would rather see this type of Stanton and him being healthy than him winning an MVP award, without a doubt.
Sure. That's a conversation we can actually have in a couple minutes regarding like why the Yankees don't let him play defense really. Clearly it's working for him. But I think a lot of what we could credit Giancarlo Stanton's resurgence to, maybe batting in the 2-hole, because it seems like ever since the Yankees started batting him in the 2-hole, he's just so much more comfortable at the plate. He seems to be getting more pitches to hit, and obviously that's because he has Aaron Judge batting behind him. Whenever you have Aaron Judge batting behind you, you're going to be receiving kind of more pitches to hit, right? Because the pitcher doesn't want to walk you and then have Judge face you with someone on base, right? So I think having Stan bat in the 2-hole is kind of the perfect scenario for him. And I think once Luke Voit does come back, probably around next week, I don't think you should change it at all. You probably put Voit 5 and leave everything top 4 the way it is right now.
Man, honestly, I remember in the beginning of the season, we were all debating on whether we can do Stanton and Judge back to back because nobody wanted to do it. They wanted to separate them 3 and then 5. But honestly, it's worked. So out of all the things you can credit Aaron Boone, this is the only thing I credit him. Honestly, making this type of lineup.
Yeah, and I don't even know if we could put all the credit on Aaron Boone for this. Just we know the Yankees have such a deep analytical department, and I'm not sure if Boone had the final call, but if he did, shout out to him because it was definitely a great move. And apparently, Judge has been asking the Yankees for years to bat him third. So if Judge is more comfortable in the 3-hole as well, it's kind of just like 2 birds, 1 stone, right? Because Stanton is clearly happy batting second, and Judge is clearly happy batting third, and then you have Gio and Voit behind them. The lineup is looking pretty good. But kind of going back to the whole Stanton outfield thing, I know that he's red hot right now as the Yankees DH. So this isn't something that I would experiment with right now just because I wouldn't want to mess anything up, like a scheduled off day, wink, wink. But Here's my thing. Giancarlo Stanton was always a pretty solid outfielder with the Miami Marlins, was a solid outfielder when he came to the Yankees in 2018 as well, where he spent most of the time in the field. And since then, we haven't really seen much of him playing in the outfield. And while he mentioned in spring training he would love to kind of give it a shot again, the Yankees completely shot him down. And I think if you're going to have this guy under contract for a much longer time, and he's still capable of playing the outfield, you haven't seen him get any injuries out there on your team. Why not give it a shot at some point this year just to
Yeah,
kind of like keep him fresh, right?
yeah, you have to. Honestly, you have to experiment more with your lineup because with Gary Sanchez basically not doing well, and you don't want him to be your starting catcher. It's not bad to experiment putting Clint in center field, Giancarlo in left, and seeing how Gary is being your DH too. Because if you can have DH of Gary and Stanton like rotating, letting them play defense as well, it might work, and you might have that deathly lineup you've always wanted.
Yeah, and another aspect of that I think we could kind of touch on as well is we know the Yankees are so cautious with Aaron Judge's health out there in the outfield, and they kind of want to get him off his feet every now and then, and maybe they want to start him at DH. If they do want to do that and kind of give Judge a half day off, you should be able to put Giancarlo Stanton out there and right, just so you could keep his bat in the lineup and not have to sit him when he's red hot. Because that kind of poses the risk of him losing all the momentum that he has. So I think it's definitely not something that could hurt, but I would have loved to see them do it in spring training, and not experiment it with it in kind of like the middle of July. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think if Stanton is clearly comfortable doing it, I think at some point the Yankees have to realize, like, you know what, like, let's give him a shot out there. But I think they're just being way too cautious. That's the thing. And I understand why, because it's a huge investment, but I don't know.
But the thing was Stanton, it was all the majority of his injuries with the Yankees hasn't been because of the outfield, like we
Yeah.
said, but it's all because him stealing the bases or just rounding the bases where he always had that strained hamstring or like something bothering him. It was never
Yeah.
the outfield.
It's usually the base running issues that catch up to Giancarlo Stanton. But I mean, regardless of kind of like where he fits in the outfield, batting order, whatnot, I think there's no denying the dude has been absolutely raking as of late. And listen, I hope he could continue it moving forward, just because I would love to see Giancarlo Stanton All-Star appearance for the Yankees as the DH, which I think he's on pace for. I'm not trying to jinx anything because jinxes aren't real, just saying. But listen, I hope that Stanton can continue this, because right now, it's such a pleasure to see him every time he comes at bat. It's like a must-see at bat at this point, right? If Giancarlo Stanton is batting, you're not walking away from your TV. It's not a bathroom
No.
break at that point, just because you want to see how hard he hits the ball this time, right? It's not whether or not he hits the ball. It's when he hits it, how hard he hits it. So I'm looking forward to seeing Stanton perform the rest of the season. And this hot start that he's off to is absolutely ridiculous. So hopefully he can keep it up. But that is going to wrap things up for us today. Everyone, be sure, like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications for more. You guys know the deal already. We're going live before and after every single Yankees game this season. So stay tuned for that content. And also, you guys know the deal. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe. Peace.